Hey third graders, welcome to Module 5, Lesson 24. We are 24/30ths of the way through our unit. Tonight you guys are going to express whole numbers as fractions and recognize equivalents with different fractions. What that means is that we're going to write or explain numbers as fractions and know that they're equal with different fractions. It's kind of a review of what we've already been doing in class, but really just to solidify the idea. Here we go. Today you're going to need your fraction kit. We're going to be using number bonds to help us see what the whole is. So let's go ahead and look at our one whole and our two halves. So go ahead and get those out. And we're going to make a number bond to represent that one whole is equivalent or equal to two halves. Do you guys have that word equivalent memorized by now? If you don't, keep saying it to yourself. Equivalent means equal. So when we make our number bond for one whole and two halves, so we're going to write one whole, and then one whole breaks down into the pieces of 1/2 plus 1/2, and we get one whole. So let's keep track of our equivalent fractions. So we're going to say one whole equals two halves. Remember that one whole is just a copy of 1/2. Go ahead and get out your fourths. How many fourths do we need to make a whole? 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So we need 4/4 to make a whole, and let's draw our number bond to represent that. Go ahead and do that on your notes. Press pause and press play when you're done. Your number bond should show that 4 copies of 1/4 equal one whole. So one whole is the same as two halves is the same or equivalent to 4/4. So one whole is a copy of 1/4. How many copies of 1/3 do you need to make a whole? Go ahead and figure that out. Draw your number bond, put your equivalent fraction, press pause and press play when you're done. You should have done that one whole is a copy of 1/3 3 times. So then over here on your equivalent fraction page, you should have one whole is a third plus a third plus a third. So we have 3/3. The point of this is to review the patterns that we see when fractions equal one whole. And of course, you guys still notice that pattern of when the numerator matches the denominator, it equals one whole. It means that our whole is cut up into this many pieces and we have all of them. So we know that it's exactly one whole. So if I have two halves, it's the same as 4/4 is the same as 3/3, and so on. Let's get out your halves again, and this time we're going to represent our number bonds with number lines. So I'll do the first one, and then you guys are going to do the next two on your own. So for our number line with halves, I'm going to make a whole from 0 to 1. So go ahead and do that on your paper too. And then I'm going to show where my halves are. So my halves are, they start here, the first one ends right in the middle, and then the last one, and then the second one ends right at the one whole part, which makes sense because I have two 1/2s to get the full amount of the one whole. So now I can label my fractions. So here I'm starting at 0 halves. Then at the end of this part right here on the number line, I'm at 1/2. And then if I keep going, by the time I reach the end, I've got 2 full halves. Go ahead and do a number line with fourths and thirds. Make your number lines equal because they all represent the same whole that we're talking about today. And they're all going to start at 0 and end at 1, obviously, because we're only going from 0 wholes to 1 full whole. All right, go ahead and do that. Press pause and press play when you're done. Let's take a look at your number lines to notice some patterns. So we have from 0 wholes to 1 wholes divided up into fourths. Count out your fourths with me. You can whisper them to yourself. So 0 fourths, 1 fourth, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, 4 fourths are the same as 1 whole. Let's go to our thirds. So we have 0 thirds, 1 thirds, 2 thirds, 3 thirds, or 1 whole. So it's like we're starting at one part of our fraction piece, and our number line, remember, it travels down the length, but we can't count it as a fourth or a third or a half until we get to the end of that piece, because we have to have all of it on the number line for us to say that it's that fraction. Because if I just stopped right here, I wouldn't have the full fourth. I'd have to keep going until I got to the end of it for me to have all of it. What do we notice about the fractions that are at the 0 point on the number line? You should notice that we have none. We have no fractions when we're here. We have no part of the whole. We have 0 parts of the whole. What do you guys notice when we get to the 1? You guys should notice that we get all of the whole by the time that we get to the end of that part of the number line. For your final problem, you guys are going to create a number bond showing me how many copies of 1/8 are in 1 whole, and then draw a number line to represent that, starting at 0/8 and ending at 8/8. All right, you guys, I hope this review helped you a little bit on fractions, and we will see y'all tomorrow.